We are diving into the 28 franchise. That's 28 days later, 28 weeks later. We're even going to touch upon 28 years later. Welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about TV and movies. I'm Diana. Sam is here. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Struggling with my bangs a little bit. I don't know what's going on with them today, but I
They
am
look
good other than that, though. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Before we dive into the 28 franchise, I want to quickly chat about this genre of the infected and zombies. And so I know where it started for me. I want to know where it started for you, when you started watching it, and if you liked it right off or if it took you a while.
So I had to think back, but I'm fairly certain that the Resident Evil, like the video games, were the first time I ever saw like a zombie in as like a villain. It's the main it's the main thing that you're up against, you know? And I remember my brother was one who played it, and I would just go and like watch him, and that was enough because I didn't really want to play. I'm not really into video games, but the story and just all of that, like I was really hooked, like right from the beginning. And one time he told me that having me there made him feel braver, and I was like,
Ah,
"Whoa!" Like I think because and my husband's kind of like the same way. If he's playing like a tense game, if I'm in the room, he's not as tense about it, I guess. I don't know. I'm just reading my book in the corner, but and then the and then so that came out I think in 97, and then Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island had come out, and I love the Scooby-Doos. I think they're just I don't know, they're good fun. And that movie had everything just fun. There's like there's a fun song, there's food, New Orleans, all of that. And then as I got older, it became into The Walking Dead, and that's where I kind of like bonded with you. And but it took me a few years. I wasn't right into it, not because I didn't like it or I just didn't have access to it. I was in college and didn't have cable, and that's back when you had to order the Netflix off of the internet and it would arrive in the little red envelope, and I had to
oh
watch
my
that like
gosh.
as it came in because it was so popular that like I would watch episodes 1 through 3 and then have to wait or whatever it was. But yeah, I think I've just had this morbid fascination with kind of watching the world fall apart, because there's also a comforting thing in seeing how people manage to come together most of the time. So yeah. And I've talked about this before, but I'd go to like my family's house and watch The Walking Dead. So it's
Mhm.
just kind of always been like I associate the zombie apocalypse with my family and just family in general, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people did that, especially in the beginning, because it was so huge and people would gather together to watch it. For me, it would be well, sort of the main movie that started it all, which is Night of the Living Dead. But I remember watching it when it would come out on television, and it scared me so bad. That black and white film and these people that ate people. And I thought to myself, who created this? Why? I don't get it. I don't like it. It's scary. It's awful. And I held that belief for a long time. And I thought, I don't like zombie movies. This is awful. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm sure I saw other things, happen, but yeah, The Walking Dead, here it comes out. And my husband loves zombies any kind. And so he's like, oh, let's watch this. I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I watched it when it was coming out, and I'm like, okay, that was really good, but I don't know if I could take this. So I think I might have tried to step away, but he kept watching it and I kept seeing it. And then all of a sudden, I thought, I can't get away from this. I love this. And it changed my whole life. It truly did in so many ways. It opened me up to this whole genre. It made me appreciate so many other films, and now I can go back and watch Night of the Living Dead and appreciate so much about it and what it has to say. and just all the other movies, all the other shows that have come after it. So, and with The Walking Dead being my utmost favorite television series ever, it's just so good. And I love it because to me it shows humanity. It's so raw, and here everything's falling apart, and you have to rely on yourself, your strength, your resilience, and also other people in your community too. So, yeah, there's so much to love about that. And we could go on and on and on. But yeah, I wanted to start with that because probably when 28 Days Later came out, which was right before I think The Walking Dead came out, I wasn't into it. So I didn't watch it way back then. It took me years later for me to watch that original movie. And I'm glad because, like I said, The Walking Dead kind of kickstarted me into that direction. So we are going to get into this franchise. And I do want to start with our question of the day, which is going to be a little bit hopefully light and fun because we're going to dig into some deeper elements here. So, the question of the day is if you were rage infected or a zombie, what trait would you hope stuck around? Okay. So, Sam, you think about it. I'm going to think about it. And we're going to answer that later on. And we want all of you to think about it and hopefully answer along with us later on. Okay. So, we're going to jump in and we're going to start with 28 Days Later. And you had mentioned a little while earlier, like one of the first things you thought was watching what is it? Resident Evil. I didn't want to say Resident Alien like the TV show. I'm like, I gotta say it right. So Resident Evil. That is where I believe the idea of this movie came about. I think this sparked, yeah, I read that recently. The video game made them think about fast moving. Are they fast moving in Resident Alien?
A little Resident Evil.
I mean,
A little bit
Resident
of both.
Evil. Sorry. See, I knew that was
Oh
going to
no.
happen.
We have a toy in our house that is called Elmo when it is in fact a lamb chop because I can't get out of my head. So I feel you on that one.
That's hilarious.
I think a little bit of both. It depends on I think the stage maybe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's in the video game, I think they're slower, but I'm also thinking of like the original game and not so much like the like newer ones.
uh,
And the movies are nothing like the video games. So
yeah, and maybe it wasn't that aspect of it. I just know that they used that as a reference. Like that came to mind when they were
it might
first.
have been because it's like a lab and they were performing like the whole thing is it's like a big like healthcare like
Yeah.
corp and that's probably I mean there's a TV show that came out like 2 or 3 years ago that is like a Resident Evil attempt and they have like a lab and it's a whole thing and
Mm,
there's bunnies and stuff and
yeah.
unfortunately Lance Reddick RIP he's in it he's amazing he's the only reason to watch it the show is
Mm,
garbage my
mm.
brother and Roger and I were all pumped because that's like our thing and we
Yeah.
were so disappointed
Ah,
so
man.
much so that we're jokingly, but also kind of not, maybe thinking about trying to write our own like Resident Evil thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, and being like really like truthful to like the games with the puzzles and like that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
that's
would
a
love that. I know. Another
oh,
another topic. So much more to talk about. Okay, so we're starting with 28 Days Later. So I want to know, Sam, what your reaction or what stood out to you about this movie either on your initial watch or in your rewatch.
so when this movie first came out, it came out in 2002 and I was like 12 or 13. So it's funny watching it with adult eyes because I'm looking at things in a very different way.
Mhm.
Like when I watched it when I was 12 or 13, it was just scary. Like there were fast moving things trying to attack you.
Yeah.
It's rage filled, all this stuff. And that's terrifying all on its own. And then like as an adult, I'm like, oh, like what would I do in this like situation? Like how would I react? And I'm looking at it in a different, scarier way, I think, because I'm like putting myself in that scenario. But I think I don't know. I think I also just paid more attention to just like how the shots were and just like the countryside and the simplicity of it all with it still just being like, I think that's why it's so good is because it is such like a simple like
Yeah.
thing and it's so easy
Yeah.
to put yourself there. They're regular people. Like Jim wakes up in a hospital as because he got hit by a car. That's terrifying on its own. I was thinking like then like he has to find his parents to take all of that in is like first you wake up and there's nobody. And then the first person you see tries to eat your face and it's a
Yeah.
priest and you're like, wait a second. And then you're saved by these people who are very mean to you and you're still like, what's happening? I admire Selena in her
Oh,
like immediately gonna like kill that guy because that's the way to be. That's tough.
I know. I love that. So I saw this several years back. I don't even know how long ago, but I think what impacted me or what I really remember was the empty streets, like you had mentioned, that backdrop, that grittiness, the way it was filmed. It felt very indie like. It wasn't some big budget. And I appreciated that. And I knew, see, the thing is, I knew what to sort of look for going into this because I didn't see it when it originally came out. And so I knew that that was going to be important and impactful. I think I was in my rewatch. What struck me was how similar that introduction was to The Walking Dead. I'm like, wait, what? I had to go look it up because I thought he's waking up from a coma and Rick woke up from a coma. Like, what is going on here? And Robert Kirkman had said that he had not watched this movie till after he had was writing the, I think, initial comic. But still, it's interesting how they both started off with that. And I think it's because they wanted to see it. To me, that's the scariest thing, right? It's like all of a sudden you just wake up and you're like, what is happening? And it's that realization of what, coming to people, like you said, that are going to attack you. And what do you do? How do you react? Who do you know how to trust and all of that? So I think that was so impactful for me. Also, Killian Murphy, I mean, wow. He was
So
so,
good.
yeah, he had it back then, even though he was this young, skinny guy. He looks so young here. And but you can see it. He has something about him that you gravitate toward watching him and wondering what he's going to do next. So, oh, anyway. So that was my initial thoughts on that and what initially impacted me. Now we're going to go through some what we like to call here rapid fire, even though they're not really rapid fire. We try, but we have so much to say. But I thought that this would be a good way to get to the meat of a lot of things that come to mind for us, right? It'll remind us of the important parts of this. So, I'm going to start with the first one, Sam. What scared you the most in 28 Days Later?
Just like how fast like the zombies are and how violent they are. And that's something that's always like stuck with me though, is that like that's this a movie apart from the others is that the zombies aren't there really to like eat you or get to your brains. They just want to like bash your face in. And that is so like it's primal. And that's just like that's so scary because that's what chimps and monkeys do in the wild. I mean, we are chimps and monkeys, you know. But yeah, that's what like scared me the most.
That scared me the most also, but the other thing that scared me the most was when West said basically, we want those women. I need them for my men. That was horrifying to me. Like, really, I felt like that shifted everything and this dread of like, what? It freaked me out. And you as a woman, me as a woman know what that feels like, but it is in my gut when he said that for me.
That was one of the things that when I watched it as a teenager, I understood like the implications of it, like, but I didn't really understand. As like an adult, that chills you to like your core. And I think that would bother I think like any human, especially when you're in that
Right.
environment where it's
Yeah.
men with guns and like that's anything. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Diana.
That no, it hit me the second
Mhm.
time I watched it because I had actually forgotten that whole part of it. Like I had remembered like to a certain spot. I'm like, oh yeah, those military type guys. Oh yeah. I'm like, oh no. And then my husband says, "Oh, doesn't this and this happen?" I'm like, "Oh, I think you're right." And then when he says it, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, my heart sunk. My heart sunk. I think what it is that control of you, of you not being able to do anything
Mhm.
and just being at like someone's slave. You're just someone's slave and you can't do a damn thing about it. And that is just so scary.
And you can't leave because that's worse, maybe.
I don't know. I take my chances, I think. I'm not like,
Oh heck
I
yeah.
gotta
If
get
I
out of
if
there.
I could get
Yeah.
out.
All right. The next one. What was a moment or detail that surprised you?
I had forgotten how quick those guys had like turned on it, like how they were like, okay, it's time to do this. Like in my head as a kid, I remembered them having a conflict, but I didn't remember like exactly what happened. And I was like, it's only been like 30 days at this point, and they're already to like, now you're a sex slave. Like
I
that's
know.
that's like I was shocked at how quick, but also not shocked given humanity.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. The detail or the moment that surprised me or that it kind of like stuck with me is
Okay.
that the drop that goes into his eye. There's just
Oh,
something about that, like him looking up and here it comes and it goes in his eye. It was like, no, no. And then it's like, stay away from me. And she's like trying to get close to him. And he's like so mad. And then they have to get rid of him. Or actually they can't,
they
right? They
don't.
want, yeah, they
Yeah.
don't. And that's when the military end up shooting him and they realize that they're there. But man, and you're right, because right then and there we see how fast you can turn.
Yep.
So, or be
Oh.
infected. I say turn, but infected, I guess, is the right thing. Okay, so I do want to bring this up because I did a TikTok on 28 years later. And I said something, I used the word zombie, and somebody called me out on it. They're like, they're not zombies, they're not undead. This isn't a zombie movie. And then I went back and I looked, even the creators say zombies. Okay. So I'm not that far off calling them zombies. Okay.
Zombie. I can look it up.
I did look it up. I did.
Well, like a zombie is anyone who appears lifeless, apathetic, or completely unresponsive to their surroundings, and that is what those people are. They're apathetic as hell.
Yeah. So anyway, I try to be a little bit careful, but I'm still gonna say zombies half the time. So
Like, yeah.
but yeah, how quickly they can turn. Okay, so next one. What was the most memorable moment for you?
Oh, that's when the dad gets the blood in his eye. I've hated that scene for
Ah,
years. But
yeah.
it's also so memorable because it's like they're getting to a point, it's almost like you're lulled into like a false sense of security where you're like, oh, it's a happy little fam, they're having little lunch, whatever, and then they're gonna like eventually, like then they get to the point where it's all sad. Like you said, it's like it for that to happen, like you blink so often and so quick, like that it just has to be like perfectly wrong for that to happen, and it's just so sad.
But it felt, even though you're right, you're absolutely right about that. But then at the same time, stuff like that happens all the time. So it felt very realistic to me, even though you're like, oh, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Yeah, the odds that could happen, right? It's like, oh man,
At
it
that
was
point,
just,
like the odds are pretty stacked against us no matter what.
I know it felt so devastating. That moment just felt so devastating. So
She's so
it was,
young. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
And
this
also
year,
he would have
yeah,
been like really useful against like the military men because I don't think they would have been able to
exactly.
like take advantage of him as easily.
I know it was so tough.
Mm.
Oh man. So I had a tough time with that moment where it should lie also. So I can agree with you on that. But I'm going to say memorable, like really what comes to mind when I think about this movie is Killian Murphy with the backdrop of where he's at, and how everything just looks shut down, and the scenery and everything. And I did hear that they would film this really early on Sunday
Mhm.
morning so that they wouldn't have any crowds or anything to deal with. And that's, that starkness that we see. So I thought that was kind of a cool tidbit about this. Okay. What do you think happened after the last scene?
So I think that the virus, since it was being contained in the UK, thanks to for it being an island, I think part of me thinks that the plane doesn't actually stop because if they stop, that's the chance that like infection would get out. And I feel like there's already probably like a ban on the airspace in the UK. So it's probably like maybe like a hopefully the person didn't like steal a plane and wasn't being like bad or anything. But yeah, I don't think the plane stops. So I think they're kind of stuck there.
Oh, man, I know,
I
right?
know.
Because they look so hopeful and they have it out. Where does it say? Does it say
Hello.
hello? That's what I thought. I
Hmm.
thought it said hello. And which is so funny because you think they put help
Help.
or, yeah, something else, but no, they wrote hello.
But
Uh,
oh, I bet you they wouldn't have put help because that could have been old. And if you say hello, that's like maybe new. Maybe they
yeah,
wouldn't have stopped.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So I thought it was very cool. But then I started thinking, oh, but do they really land? Does it really land? And I thought to myself, I don't think it lands either. I mean, I was hoping it would because they're people, but I could see it not landing either. So it made me wonder what the next step was. But maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out eventually. I don't know if it'll be told, but
I feel
I'll be
like that,
curious.
like the plane stopping or landing's the better word. It's like a trolley problem. Like you save one island or you save the world, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. All right. Parting thoughts before we get to the next film. Anything else you want to say about this movie?
I think for some reason this movie scares me more than the other like of the zombie movies because it's more realistic because it is based in like a sciency kind of like it has like a start in like a lab and my brother works for Pitt and they don't I mean, I don't know what they're doing. So like, but I know that they test on animals and you don't know what like they have monkeys. You don't know. And it could start out as innocent as that. And there are people out there who maybe would ignore signs and people saying, please don't open that cage. And I feel like it could just happen. And that's terrifying to me.
So I think what is interesting about this movie is, well, it has so many facets, but I'm thinking about the movie and it being rage. And I'm wondering if there's people that wouldn't be running after you and killing you because not everybody has so much rage that they want to do something to you, even though there are a lot of people that do. But it was interesting that scene with Killian Murphy as Jim. He starts to change how he reacts to things because earlier on he's asked, oh, have you ever killed anybody? Oh, I had to kill a kid, and how much that devastated him, right? But I think this is where the change starts to happen for people, like we see in The Walking Dead too, because in The Walking Dead it's like we see them go through the motions of when you have to kill people and what that means. Some people it's really easy, Shane, and some people it's not so easy, Glenn. And so, it just
Or
depends on,
Carol.
yeah. Oh, Carol can initially
Carol
no, but
had
then
she had
she,
no problem later
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Then she got it down. But we love that about Carol. We love
We really
her,
do.
we love her thought process. But anyway, so we get to see Jim react to trying to save Selena and Hannah. And so he goes and does what he needs to do. And when he gets down on that guy and he's pushing his eyeballs in, Selena's all thinking, oh my God, he's changed too. He's infected, this and that. And he just kills him and he gets up and she's ready to bash his brains in. And then he steps into the light and she sees that it's him. And
Oh,
so
he's those big, beautiful eyeballs.
yes, exactly. But it's so important. It's such a piece of this film, and I think all of the films maybe that come to be is the eyes. The eyes are a huge, and the rage is huge.
Hmm.
And so it was showing his rage as a non-infected person. So oh, it's just so revealing, and it's interesting to see it.
And what I like most about the movie, and I'm assuming like the whole entire like all the movies, is that all of us can understand like being angry and having rage, and it's so easy to like sometimes depending on your bandwidth, how easily like it can escalate. So it's it makes it all the more like realistic too, because
Yeah.
like you can oof
Ugh.
oh
Yeah.
oh.
Okay. So 28 days later, it really set the tone for this whole franchise and left us with a lot to think about on rage and survival and humanity. So, with 28 weeks later, it takes us further into the world after the outbreak with new characters and fresh challenges. So, Sam, what were your first impressions of this film, and how did 28 weeks later feel different from 28 days later, if it did for you?
I remember, so I watched it when it first came out, and then I went back to watch it for this. It was kind of like I was watching like a brand new movie almost. I remember really like enjoying it at both times once again, but I'm seeing it through different eyes because I think that came out in what like 2007. So I was 18 or so. So just an adult. And I just love to like look at it from like the different perspectives. But I enjoyed it both times, but once again was scared for different reasons. But I really liked how this movie made it just expanded the world a little bit and made everything like a little bit like we had more characters
Mm.
and it was way more action packed, which was kind of fun. But there was a little bit of humor there, which there wasn't in the first one, if there was any humor. But yeah, I think my favorite part was being able to see the things from the different like points of view. So you see it from a doctor, from a soldier, from a civilian, from children,
Yeah.
even from like higher up, because you get to see like a young Idris Elba do his thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really nice. It was like a well-rounded thing, point of view.
So I didn't watch this until recently. I I don't know what kept me from it. I thought that people weren't as big a fan of this movie as the original. That was my thought, but I don't know that
Mhm.
that's 100%. I think maybe some people feel that, but I watched it and I really liked it. You're right, it had a lot more action. It's a bigger budget. And to me that is a huge difference, and I think that's why the original is so well regarded and loved, because I think people really like that indie feel of it, that grittiness, that realistic it looks. And
Mhm.
with this one it feels like, yeah, an action film with, these infected people. And so I loved, I thought, oh, Jeremy Renner's in this. Oh, Idris Elba's in this. Rose Byrne is in this. I'm like, wow. And so there were a lot of recognizable people in here. So I appreciated that too. And because we get to see it in a different way, like you're right, we get to see it from different perspectives. So I appreciated all of that. And so I really did enjoy this. And we're going to get to our rapid fire on this, because one of the main draws for me was the opening sequence in this, and we're going to start with that because I want to know, what did you think about Don, who is the husband, and the choices he made?
He's a jackass. I just he's just like a selfish just person, I guess. And I don't think I blame him necessarily for leaving his wife when he's at the boat, because what else are you going to do? You can't, he should have done other things to save her. But at that point, when you're out of, when she's there, you do have to leave, like you have to save yourself. But I think when he goes into like the science, into like the labs, and she's there. I think he's very stupid um, for going in there because you like at that point you have to know how it's like how you can like get it. So you know that it's the saliva, and I don't know. I just thought he was dumb.
Okay. So, what's interesting, well, no, it's so interesting because when it was happening, when I'm watching the first part and he sees her and she sees him and she says, Dawn, or whatever she says to him, I'm thinking, well, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Like, what is he going to do? Right. So,
Hmm.
at that split second, kind of understood him stepping back, or closing the door, whatever it was. But then, but then I'm like, but wait, you're leaving your wife? What are you doing? And I'm thinking, this is going to haunt you, dude. This is going to haunt you. And it's going to come full circle. And, that whole part was terrifying and so good at the same time. But his choices. And then, like you said, when he kissed her, I felt like, oh, why are you putting yourself in that position? But to me, it also felt like, oh my gosh, you really did love her. You just made a not a very good decision. I don't know. I have so many mixed emotions, but I love it. I love it because it's like, you're a jerk. You're an asshole. But what are you going to do? Say yourself, you were put in this situation. But also, when that kid came knocking at the door, he was the one that's like, don't open it. And she's all, we've got to. There's a child. So that should have probably, made us understand already, who he was or type of person he was. But at the same time, I didn't feel like he was a total coward. It's not like I felt like that, but I think he made some bad choices too.
Yeah. I was thinking that I was against them allowing like the kid in, but if he was already on the run from all those people, they obviously were going to just tear down the walls anyway. It doesn't seem like because they weren't like being like quiet or anything, like they were like
Mm-hmm.
acting like everything was normal. And I thought like at first like the kid like attracted them. So I think like either way, they probably would have gotten attacked because they were heading that direction anyway, probably. So I don't think it matters if they would have like allowed the kid in or not.
Yeah. The other thing I want to bring up about John was after he was infected. And again, he what does he do to his wife? He gets her eyeballs, which is
Oh,
the same thing that
Jim
Jim
did.
did. Yes. And so he kills her, which was crazy to me. I'm thinking, great, she survives that. Okay, wait. Okay, so a question comes up. How did she get infected? Yet she's not ravaged or anything.
They were just polite. They just kind of like,
Nibbled at her. They're
yeah,
like,
and then oh
I mean, like, no, serious though. I have this
no,
question
that's a good.
through
Mhm.
every film up until the current film. I don't understand when people are whole and they look
Mhm.
good. It's like, what? How, did maybe it's a blood, like what happened to Frank, maybe,
Oh
but how do it's
yeah,
so
but
bizarre to me how they get
she was in a
infected.
room, right? Because weren't they like behind the door
Yeah,
or
but we don't
something?
know
Like
what
there was
happened to
no
her
way.
because there was a kid too,
Maybe the
so
maybe they went after the kid and she escaped out the back door.
I don't know, but she's immune, but she seems whole. It's not like she's missing any limbs or has a big old bite in her anywhere. So
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I don't know how she became affected. But what I wanted to say about Dawn, it makes me wonder because I feel like a couple times he almost hesitated before he went after his kids.
I thought that too.
So
Um,
do you think that there's like a moment like, I know this is my kids, let me not do, I gotta get you. But ooh, that is it's kind of evolutionary, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Okay. What character or relationship stood out to you the most?
so I liked the Jeremy Renner character a lot. I thought I liked how he kind of was the good guy. He didn't really want to kill people like indiscriminately. He was killing people that were infected. And I like that as soon as it got like real, he was like, I don't know. And then started to like take care. And he's the reason that that little kid like survived because he started to shoot the people that were going after him.
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know. I just thought that was really nice.
Well, that was one of the initial draws for me watching this was because he was in it. So I can totally see that. But I do also want to say I of course I like the sibling relationship. I thought that was super important and I love that. I love when family is involved and how well they took care of each other. But I also really appreciated the doctor too and her
Hmm.
relationship with the kid also. I don't know, she was trying to protect them as these
As a
kids and
doctor.
yeah, as a
Yeah.
doctor and I just always love a good doctor who knows things and is coming from that different perspective. So I appreciated her role. Okay, what was the most epic moment for you in 28 weeks later?
I liked when Flynn flew his helicopter into all of the zombies, the infected. I thought that was really fun. And I remember I couldn't remember if he survived or not. So the whole time I was like, please don't let a zombie get like clogged up. I thought that was really cool though. But then I didn't really appreciate him not like taking them. I get it, but I mean, in the end, he ends up doing it anyway. So
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I would say that that's tied for me, but because who doesn't want to do that? Why wouldn't you love that if you were like in a helicopter like, "Oh, I'm going to go kill you. Let me go chop some." Didn't they do that in The Walking Dead too? In one of the spin-offs. I think it was Carol and I can't remember his name right now when they were taking off to go to
oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to France. They
Yep,
started their little or their plane. It wasn't a helicopter, and then they used their propellers to chop up some walkers. It's always a good. It's always so
that was
good
that was
chopping up
really
some
fun.
people. I even love it
Who was the
when
act?
big buses roll over walkers too, and you hear them go bloop boop, and they get all. You like my sound effects is not very good.
No. I knew what you were going for though.
Yeah. My that most epic moment for me was the beginning. Just so everyone knows, if you catch
Honestly,
any
yeah.
glimpse of Sam, it is later where she's at. Okay, 3 hours later than it is here. So
I also have to take care of my dogs in the morning and I don't really have
yeah,
to do that. So I've been getting up like way earlier. So it
yeah,
is
yeah.
not Diana's fault. It's nearly
I'm
like
not
10
boring or
o'clock
anything,
here.
Deb.
No, she's not at
Ah,
all.
oh
I'm
my
actually
gosh,
really upset that I
that's
keep
so fun.
yawning.
No, that's so
Oh,
funny. Oh, so the most epic moment to me is when Dawn is running and you see them coming over the hill and chasing him. I can't even and then the way the camera is following him, it was such an epic
and the
moment. And then
music.
oh, I love that part. I'm so glad you said that. I was going to say that, but that's when he gets on the boat that music starts and I love that they use that music throughout the films. It's such an iconic piece of music and I absolutely love it. It adds so much and then just him getting in the boat and then as he's going away and he turns around and looks at that window thinking,
Mm.
where's my wife? Thinking, she's gone. So, it was so good. Okay, parting thoughts on this film.
I had forgotten the ending and I'd forgotten how effed the world is in that because they made it onto the continent and I guess I'm sad because the world's gone, but also then we get more movies, so I can't be too sad, right?
Yeah. So, when you say you don't remember the ending, you mean like after he picked them up and then they show that in Paris and that he's not there. They're talking on the radio or whatever it is and they say
When they
something
well no, like at
or
the
which
very
part?
end there are like infected that are running and they're like
Yeah.
in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the
I
same
had
thing.
forgotten
Yeah.
that part. I didn't remember that they had gotten to the stadium. I didn't remember that part.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the ending, so
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
But I kept thinking to myself, but the kid is infected. What if you kiss him? You know what I mean? He's a little kid. Like, what's going to happen? Is it going to be the same thing that happened to his mom?
Mhm.
You don't want him to die because he's a kid, but then you're like, holy crap, what happened to his mom? Could happen at any time. And I mean, he could sneeze.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
you
like
know?
hmm
So, wow. Oh, man. Such a good film. I loved it. I really did enjoy it more than I thought that I was going to. And so I thought it was great. And I did see 28 Years Later. Sam hasn't seen it yet. So I am not spoiling anything here because I want her to see it. And hopefully we'll get together and just talk about that movie because we've had both been anticipating this movie.
hmm
Uh, but I think what I want to say, what I love about the movie is it's separate, right? It's just like the first two, even though it's based in this world, it's separate, separate characters, new story, different dynamics. And that's what the third one is too. And so, and it's a bit of a coming of age. It's a bit of a coming of age with one of the characters there. So it's good. And I can't wait for Sam to see it. I can't wait for us to break it down. This is part of a trilogy. The current movie, The Bone Temple, is coming in 2026. I might be January, I'm not sure. And Killian Murphy is, I believe he's going to be in the coda of that movie in which he will be in the final movie. So, and I also know that Bone Temple, the one coming out in 2026, was filmed at the same time 28 years later was. I think they were filmed back to back. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So that'll be fun to see, and then of course eventually with Killian Murphy in it. So, but of course Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are the ones, in charge doing the same thing. So I'm all in. And if you want a little bit more, you can go, or if you've seen it, you can go check out on YouTube or my TikTok at Screens in Focus. And I do like a little 2-minute review of that movie and the questions I have, because I will tell you, I have questions, just like I had questions here about being how do you survive without any, how do you become infected when you don't look like you're infected, meaning you're not torn up. So I have questions and I have other questions too. So all right, so let's get back to our question of the day. If you were rage infected, what trait would you hope stuck around?
So I feel like I think the trait I would think that would stick around probably be the fact that I probably wouldn't hurt any animals. I probably would only go after humans and probably a certain type of human, say men. Kidding. Yeah, so I think I would just probably like leave all the animals alone and probably leave all the girlies alone.
So let's see. Oh gosh. Well, I like the whole thing you said about the kids. Why did I say kids? Well, I guess that would be mine, right? I wouldn't want to harm the
Yeah.
kids, right? I guess that
Mm-mm.
would be the trait that I would keep. So I accidentally said that, but I think that that's probably a great answer. I was going to say your answer with not harming animals is great.
Mhm.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to harm kids. And I would hope that I could keep a community together. Like we'd have a community of infected people and we became family and we're like, oh, we're going to take care of each other and we're not going to have too much rage amongst ourselves. So that is what I would hope that I would keep. And hopefully I could keep my bangs too. I could,
Heck yeah, they're really
yeah,
hard to keep.
yeah,
They're hard to maintain. I
yeah,
keep struggling with mine.
yeah. All right, friends out there, what about you? If you were rage infected or a zombie, what trait would you want to keep if you were in this apocalyptic survival world? You can leave us a comment wherever you're listening to us, whether it's on YouTube or anywhere else. You can go to our social media, which is at screensofocus.com. All of our social media is at the top. You can just click on it and answer us that way. You can even call us if you want to leave us a voicemail, and that is 669 223 8542. That number is in our show notes along with everything else. So that's how you can reach us. And, we have a bonus episode with our TV and movie recommendations. So this is dropping Friday. That'll drop Tuesday. So look for that. We have great recommendations for you. We really do. So check that out. And Sam, thank you for joining me today and talking about the 28 franchise.
Thanks for having me as always.
I love that you're here and I always love your insight. So thank you again. And friends out there, thank you for joining us. We're so grateful you joined us, and we hope we said something that gave you a chuckle, an insight, whatever it might be. And again, we always want to hear from you. So let us know your thoughts, even on this episode, because we'd love to hear your thoughts on the 28 franchise. And you can get to everything at our website at screensinfocus.com. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.